If the river remembered your steps, what story would it tell? Beside a small, unassuming town, a quiet river has flowed for centuries. It has watched generations of people grow, leave, and eventually come back again. It has seen the town celebrate its victories and mourn its losses, a silent witness to the ebb and flow of life itself. As a boy, Leo was a blur of motion along its bank. His laughter echoed across the water as his small feet splashed at the edge, sending droplets sparkling into the air. He would race the current, leaving a trail of muddy footprints behind him, a temporary mark of his youthful energy. He'd spend hours there, throwing small, flat stones and watching them skip across the surface. One sunny afternoon, with the light dancing on the water, he looked down at his own reflection. He placed his hand over his heart and made a solemn promise to the river, a promise filled with all the innocence and hope of a child. Become someone kind and great one day, he vowed. The river carried his words away, holding them in its steady current. But years passed, as they always do. Life became a whirlwind of new pressures and distractions, okay? It grew busy, noisy, and confusing, okay? Somewhere along the way, Leo lost his direction. He made wrong choices, decisions that chipped away at the kind boy he had promised to be. He argued with his parents, ignored his family's calls, and in a moment of anger, pushed a dear friend away, the friendship shattering like a skipped stone hitting a rock. One moonless night, heavy with the weight of his actions after hurting someone he loved, he found his feet carrying him back to the familiar path by the river. He walked in silence, his hoodie pulled low over his face. The distant, cold lights of the city felt a world away from the warmth he once knew here. He reached the bank and just stood there, the cool night air wrapping around him. He stared down at the dark, impenetrable water. His own reflection, a tired and shadowed version of himself, stared back. "I used to be better than this," he whispered, his voice cracking, barely audible above the gentle lapping of the water. As he looked, a faint image seemed to overlay his own, the smiling face of his younger self, full of hope and promise. The river didn't judge. It offered no condemnation. It simply took his whispered confession and carried it downstream, and in return, it brought back a gentle tide of memories. The water rippled, and with each circle that spread, a different scene played in his mind. Young Leo helping a friend who had fallen, hugging his mother tightly, sharing his lunch with someone who had none. These were the moments he had forgotten. In that quiet solitude, he realized the river had seen every version of him. It knew the kind boy with big dreams. It knew the angry teenager who felt lost. And it knew the ashamed man standing before it now. The river held all his chapters, not just the latest, most painful one. If the water could speak, it wouldn't whisper, "You are only your mistake." Instead, it would say, with the wisdom of ages, "I know your whole story, and there is so much more to it than this one page." The story wasn't over. Leo took a deep, shuddering breath, the clean, earthy smell of the river filling his lungs. He made a new promise, not with the bravado of a child, but with the quiet resolve of a man who understood his own frailty. From tonight, he promised the water and himself, "My steps will be softer and braver." He wiped his eyes, knelt, and reached out, his fingertips touching the cool, smooth surface of the water. The next day, he found the friend he had hurt, and, with a lump in his throat, said the two hardest words, "I'm sorry." He called his family, not with excuses, but with honesty. He started making small, consistent changes at work and at home, choosing patience over anger, choosing to help instead of turning away. He helped an elderly neighbor carry her groceries. He listened when others spoke. Slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, the town's opinion of him began to shift. People still remembered his mistakes. Memories, like rivers, flow forward but never truly forget. But now, they also saw his new footsteps, the ones he was carefully placing each day. They saw the man who greeted them with a quiet smile, the man who once again ran along the riverbank, this time with local kids trying to keep up. The river kept flowing, holding every step he took, old and new, like soft handwriting on the surface of the water. You cannot erase old footprints, but you can always choose where to place the next ones. One brave step and then another can slowly rewrite the story that life remembers about you.